How are you, Alex?
I'm very well, thank you. I had a rare bit of northern Mancunian sunshine, so getting a bit of vitamin D in the bald pate. Feel good.
So, how are you feeling coming into this game initially?
Like it's another knockout game. Time's running out. And I don't mean time's running out for us to do something, because we're clearly doing something, but time's running out with this group, the whole group. So I want to make the most of that time, yeah. I want to make the most of the time I've got to spend with some of the lads that I can now call friends who are moving on for their own reasons. So that's kind of what's motivating me at the moment and what I'm thinking most about.
Okay, and then in regards to that, you said you kind of knockout game. How do you kind of deal with the pressures of that and just kind of alleviate that from the group?
I think it's necessary to talk about it and then to shelve it, like it's there, acknowledge it, use it as well to drive your sessions, the intensity of the sessions and stuff, and then you alleviate it by having moments of the day, intentional moments of the day and the week, which create levity. Consistently remind yourself to enjoy it and to revel in it. You know, when you start to feel like I'm smiling now, and I start to think about it and get excited about it, like remember to smile through it, because what's the alternative? You just become some kind of stress head and ultimately you'll get ill. So yeah, I actually remind yourself this is why you're in the game. This is why you play sport, that it's for moments of high stress and, real points of memory binding games and scenarios that make it all worthwhile. And we're getting to that stage in the season where we can create some really good memories, Brendan, that will kind of stick with us. That's all cliche, but they do.
And then with it being your last home game of the season, and it's on a Friday night, what are you looking to see, one, from the squad itself and the club, and what are you looking to see from fans and those around the place as well?
It's definitely going to be really buzzy, innit? Friday night lights, hopefully a nice evening. We'll get that at the AJ Bell, and there's been a building excitement, as there was last year, towards this part of the season, where there's a feeling and a belief that we could do something really, really great, given the roller coaster of the season, how tight it's been, and we can feel that. So I'm no doubt that energy will come from the stands, from the crowd onto the pitch. The players, I want them to make good on some of the language they've been using this week. I'm expecting them to perform test match physicality, because that's what the game requires. And again, I expect them to be cool under some crazy intensity that Leicester have the ability to bring. There's with every similar match in a lot of areas, statistically speaking, if you look at the scrums and the set piece, the kicking game, they've got the best defence by way of tries conceded. We've got the second best. So there's a lot of good matchups there where, we want to come out on top, and we will have to if we want to win the game and keep the dreams alive for semis and beyond.
And just a final one before I go, it does come to Leicester, which is obviously they won the reverse fixture quite narrowly. Does that play in the back of the mind a wee bit in terms of you pushing forward as a moment, I guess, a thing to use it?
That we won the reverse fixture narrowly.
Sorry, I read it wrong. Apologies. Sorry.
Yeah. No, they're a really good team, aren't they? And they haven't had the results haven't gone their way. I think they'll be kicking themselves. Like we probably expect a bit of a reaction from last week. Certainly, because they're a proud team with some good players. So we know it's going to be a really tough game. We've earmarked a couple of their players which don't require any kind of indications to who they are that give them go forward. So, we've got to be able to meet them on the game line, and we put our best game out there at home. And like I say, it spurs us on for the week after. But there is no next week. That's what the lads are talking about. There's no next week if we don't get this week right. So focus firmly on getting a performance Friday night.
No worries, thank you very much.
Thanks, Brendan.
Someone else.
Cheers, mate.
Hi, Alex. Can I just jump in quickly?
Yeah, go so.
Can I just ask you briefly about Asher? The development he's had this year has been documented already, but how sort of pleased have you been to see him come through as a young player at the club this year?
Yeah, he got an award, didn't he, Wednesday night as well. The Blacklist Awards down in London. He went down with Mack and a few of our other lads as a young player, which is great. Like, it's good that he gets recognition. He's such a rare talent. I'll say again, I'll just repeat what I've said in the past. He's going to put 8 to 10 Ks on over the next 3 to 4 years without really trying, because he's got the frame for it. He hasn't got an ounce of fat on him. And that 8 to 10 Ks will enable him as a tight head to be able to not win the hit, not get those inches on the set, and still be able to scrum and dog the scrum out well and get dominance, because his core is so strong. At the moment, if he loses it, he's really got to work hard, but with a bit more weight, that weight gets you out of trouble. So that's first and foremost his first job. Like, you've got to be able to scrum as a tight head, the cornerstone of the pack. But thereafter, he used to be a winger. And I think you'll see more of that. He believes that his athletic ability and his intent to want to get in the ball, to sidestep, to offload, and those things, and his movement around the ruck is the way that tight heads are going to be evolving over the next few years. So he believes that he's at the forefront of that. Not the forefront like he's the best, but he has the capabilities to be kind of a new age prop, a new age tight head. And I believe that he's right. People look for him for a loose head, and there's loads of loose heads that can move like that, but not many tight heads who can. And he's got the ability to scrum there and move like a loose forward, not even a loose head. Talented is an understatement.
And do you think he'll sort of go with the 20s again this summer, or I'm not sure if he's eligible actually, or do you think he could, in theory, potentially go with the seniors?
He hasn't been. He's not on the list up for selection for the summer tours, and I'm not sure if I'm allowed to disclose that list. Well, I haven't just then, but he's not on that list. I think he is earmarked down to go in the 20s. They've got a kind of World Cup, haven't they, in South Africa?
And just lastly, obviously, I think you'd obviously see him as a tight head, but he's been on the other side for England at times. What's that been like? So do you think he needs to concentrate on one moving forward? Not this.
Yes, one moving forward, maybe. But Detroit at Bath can play both, can't he? So, and it is rare, but it is possible. Cooney, Easthausen can play both. They've got a wealth of depth of talent at under 20s. They've got 2 real big tight heads there, haven't they? Which is fine at under 20s. Get a 20-stoner who can scrum. But they aren't aware of the feedback that I'm getting from our international loose heads, or international class loose heads, of how good Asher is on the tight head. You know what I mean? He's just dominating at 20s level. They've got tight heads who are big and strong at that side, so they use him on the loose head, and they see him as, because it works for them in that position. But like I say, I think down the line, if they were to take the blinkers off and have a look at what he's able to do around the park and play at tight head, then I think they'll be agreeing with us, especially if they've done the research and the feedback from players, which is they feel it more, don't they, in the scrum?
Well, thank you.
Yeah, no worries. Who's up?
Afternoon.
He's beat you to it. No, he's beat you to it, Adam.
Hi, Alex. How you doing?
I'm good, mate. Yeah, I'm really well, thanks. Yeah, how are you?
Yeah, good. Thanks. When you talk about players leaving at the end of the season, have you made that a theme? I know some other clubs you speak to have done a similar thing.
Always, and it's not. I try not to weaponise it. That's a bit mercenary, but I make a point of saying thank you, showing our gratitude to the players in the right way, and it's not the last goodbye. It's just the first. You know, like we're recognising it. We're recognising it as a group, and then we'll continue to keep saying goodbye from then on. But if you don't recognise it, you kind of get to the last game and things can fizzle out, and you don't get the opportunity to say what you want to say. And I'm quite selfish in a privileged position to be able to hold court on the last training days of the week and say a few choice words about some of the guys that I've learnt to really love, I guess is the right word. I've really got used to the company and got to know the families, so it's a bit deeper than just what they do on the field.
When you talk about having to introduce moments of levity in training, can you pick up any examples?
What was Pete doing today? Pete Anglesey, oh God, what did he do? He has this, we have an LGBT+ section. It's proper nowadays, isn't it? You have to do that. The non-binary world that we're in. What got a few laughs? We went through a few awards that the lads have been winning. We have dice rolls for ill discipline, and there's forfeits for that. We've got a couple of lads who are waiting on our end of season kind of do. They've suffered that, and a few boys that have to play for car washes for other people. We sometimes have games. What was I doing the other week? What did I bring in the other week? I had a North versus South challenge. Like, this was just an example where we were playing Quins, so we got the chefs to cook up some northern dishes and some southern dishes, and we did like a blind taste test to see who could decide if they were northern and south, and we had Flats and Luke on one team and all our kind of true blue northerners on another team. So stuff like that, just having a bit of crack with it, I think is important, and it probably takes more time than it does prepping for the clips and the preview and the review. But I think it's important that you put effort into making sure we're having a bit of fun. Yeah.
Finally, can I just ask about Tom Curry? How's he getting on?
He did his first high intensity session with us today, and got through it well, communicating driving standards really well. We're still not up for selection because we don't know how he's going to get through the week. This is his first full week training, but we'll have a better idea on post Wednesday to how he's feeling. Probably Thursday, actually, in terms of how his body's feeling.
Thanks.
Al, could I jump in there on Tom? That's pretty big and pretty good news, right?
It's really good news, isn't it? I'm surprised how well he's moving. Like he did, we do like blocks of 4 minutes and stuff, and we vary it around, but generally 4 minutes, 4 to 6 minutes on the really high intensity days, and that's non-stop, like the second ball's coming in. And we measure metres per minute, above 5 metres, above 7 metres, accelerations, decelerations, all of that with the GPS. He topped, and I know it was only one block. This was only one block on Friday, and he topped them all. And that's for someone who's been out as long as he has, so he's come back in great shape. His ability to be able to back that up is what is under question now. Look, and he moves so well. He talks so passionately, like it's... he's a phenomenal athlete and an outstanding player. Like, if provided his fitness is all right, he's not far away, honestly.
We probably spoken a bit too much than we'd like to about his injury layoffs and how he's come back really well, and he's always impressed you, but this one has been no different.
It's like he's not been away, honestly. It's like he hasn't had more than a couple of weeks off from the game. And that's, let's testament not just to him, because he works really hard and he's been at Man United, he's been down in Loughborough, and he's been in sprint coaches in Bath, and the RFU have been kind of supplemented in his rehab. So he's doing everything in his power to get himself back, probably better than he was before, but he looks like he is at this point in time, just from subjectively watching him move on the stats.
Well, thank you very much.
Yeah, no worries, Charlie. Cheers, mate.
Afternoon, Al. In addition to Tom, is anyone else back? I'm thinking mainly Ernie. Anyone else back from injury?
Ernie's up for selection. Yeah. We've got a knock or two here or there as well. I'm not willing to divulge that at this point in the week, if that's all right, Kieran, with another training session to go. I just don't want them, whatever analysis they've done.
A general injury question. The club has suffered quite a lot of injuries this season now. Rugby is a physical game, so injuries are part and parcel of it. But have you and the medical staff kind of identified, analysed why this season is kind of a bit of an anomaly in terms of just the sheer number of injuries?
Yeah, I think we talked about it in the Six Nations. I'll say it again. There's a few things. There's a run of games that was 21 games straight, and how in retrospectively, looking back at how we rotated the team, even given previous knowledge of when the players and the team starts to break down by way of injuries, we thought we had it nailed on, but clearly that wasn't the case. So there's that, right? There's the 6 to 9 day turnarounds. We rarely had a 7 day turnaround up to Christmas. There was a lot of short and long turnarounds, some of which were self-enforced because we wanted longer breaks. But in hindsight, you can't get into a rhythm of recovery and loading, and it's probably the change in that the body hasn't reacted. The bodies haven't reacted really well to. So there's that. I think we can improve upon that, and we have. We came in on Sunday, we came in yesterday, and we trained today to make it a 7 day turnaround as it's been for the last 4 games. So that's working for us, as you can see. And then the last thing is weather. Like, it's been that wet. We haven't trained consistently on the same surface, and there is good evidence out there that when you're changing the consistency of the surface from kind of firm to soft and going from 4G to grass, which we've had to do, it increases your injury risk. I think that's probably been... So we've looked extensively about how we can recondition the pitches, as our Saracens doing as well, I might add. They've been on a 4G all year, or just staying a 4G, over the Christmas period and not fluctuate between the two. We're looking at both of those things now. And I've done a bit of research. I spoke to Gloucester and Sarries and Treviso and understood how they've trained and stuff like that, because I've got contacts for all of them, and we figure it's probably those 3 factors that have affected injury rate the most.
Just going back to Tom momentarily, obviously it was a pretty serious injury. Is the feedback that you're getting from medical professionals that this is not something that has a risk of resurfacing and being an issue going forward now? No, that's not the case, and I think we were clear on that from the start. This is a degenerative hip condition, of which he's come through the first procedure which he can that can affect the improvement of his performance or his hip mobility. He's done the least intrusive and the first operation he's done, which is kind of cleaning up the ball, from what I understand. In time, he will need further operations to maintain his hip mobility and his ability to move around as well as he's doing. Just one final one from me. 2 new signings have come through the door. I know you're obviously a big fan of kind of talking about retention, but in terms of any new additions, what can fans potentially expect in terms of any more new signings for next season?
Because I'm unaware of when this gets posted, who have come through.
Wysea and LaRue are the 2 that have been officially announced.
I've got to stick with official announcements, haven't I, Kieran? I know you want inside scoops here. there's not many more, to be honest. We have the question of some injury dispensation for a tight head, which we'll look into tomorrow in a board meeting. I've got all the owners there, but essentially it's their money. You know, for Nick, who's out with his Achilles issue. We've got another back player coming in who you might have heard about, but again, I'll keep the lid on that one. And the rest is just retention, yeah.
Cheers, Al. Thank you.
Thanks, Kieran. Are we good?
Alex, shall I just jump in again quickly?
Yeah.
Tom, did you say he's been doing some rehab with Man United? Is that right?
Oh no, I think he just used the facilities down there, across the way. Oh, he has the Alt G. They've got this. You know, I've seen those machines, right? You put like massive cycling shorts on, and you zip yourself into like a bubble, and it pumps air into it, and it lifts, and it basically alters the gravity in which you run at, so you can run at like 70% less your weight.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so he's been doing that down there, and he's been doing sprint training down at Loughborough. The coach down there as well, working on his biomechanics.
Right. Thanks a lot.
Hi, Alex.
Hiya, Paul, you all right?
Yeah, I'm good. You?
Yeah, of course. Amongst your books there, very scholarly.
Oh, no. One day I'll have time to read it. I'll probably be dead then, but...
It's a bit negative.
And Kerry.
Yeah, go on.
You know, been a big player for you this season, and I remember watching for England. Was it last season? And he just maybe got knocked about a little bit, but he seems a hell of a lot more physical and resilient now. Has that been a big emphasis for you and him?
Yeah, for him, he generally does what he wants, but you know, and I support him on that. His 5K's heavier than what he played at that point with England, and the challenge for him to keep that weight on and keep moving as well as he did. Like, you see it around his neck, can't you? You can see it on his shoulders. It helps him in terms of the impacts, and that's what England want from him. And until he gets really used to running with that weight, you know, for extended periods, like therein lies the challenge. But at the moment, I feel like it's working for his game, and it certainly makes him more robust. Yeah.
Yeah, and he looks, you know, a definite sort of. I know England has got Richards in the back row, but he looks a definite contender for them.
I'm biased, Paul. I'd always pick him. You know what? I just had a chat with him then, and I'm sure he won't mind me sharing. Like he has a burning desire to play for England, as you know. But he understands now that a lot of it comes down to the subjectivity of the England coaching group and Steve Borthwick in particular, and he can't control that. He's happy with how he's got playing. He feels like he's putting good performances out there, and for the first time, I think forever, he's accepted the fact that is his best. He's content with the performances he's putting out, so that the distraction of selection isn't influencing his mindset, his performance, and that's, you know, it's been a long kind of road for him to get to that point. So it's really good in terms of maturation of our captain there. Yeah, and when players get like that, they start playing free, don't they? Yeah, they stop chasing rucks, and you're not seeing any of that from him. He's making really good decisions and banging people left, right, and centre. So I'll make that continue.
And is it sort of, has he had to operate in the sort of shadow of his brother in the last couple of years as well? Because I mean, Tom, such a big international career, and it's always maybe a little difficult there. But I mean, he's now sort of stepped out of that and very much Ben Perry, not brother of Tom.
Yeah, I agree. I think his role here has enabled him to understand. I don't know how he plays, but how he wants to lead. They're very, you know, because they look the same. I've said this in the past. They're very different people. They've both got their own kind of leadership styles, and to a degree, how they play. They've probably merged a little bit closer together in terms of their ability to dominate the game line and the physicality around the breakdown. They're a lot more similar than they were, and that's maybe because of the weight that you're talking about there that he's managed to put on. He's definitely more self-assured of his own identity, overtly, than he has been over the last 3 years. And I think that's as a result of him leading the team and being able to lead the team over this last season. You know, Jono departing and him taking the helm, which he's done really well.
Yeah, brilliant. One last thing from me, Alex. Leicester.
Yeah.
You won your last 5 in the Premier against them, 10 of the last 11. You think the Sale and Leicester sort of similar approach to the game, both very, very physical teams. What is it that you've been able to get the edge on?
It's getting your mentality right, isn't it? It's just that, Paul, getting your edge, finding your edge every time you play this group. There's been things that have motivated over the years. Them being champions, you know, that's always a motivator, as it was last year. Like as I said before, all the kind of battles with their physicality and the defence and the set piece, like it kind of primes you that you've got to be on your best in all those areas which you profess to be good at anyway to get the result. And this, like I said, there's probably more than that this time, Paul. There's like, it's the last home game and I just don't want it to end. I don't think the lads want this ride to end. We feel like we're finding form and I don't want it to be too little too late. You know what I mean? I want us to finish. Well, I'll say it like Manu's and Sam James's, Cobus's time at the club with memories that they want to reflect on and talk about down the line. I really do.
But this is a good time to be having momentum behind you, Alex.
Yeah, it's the best time, isn't it, Paul? It's crucial, like, that you find form at this end of the season, and I've been saying it for the last 5 weeks. The team that does and is able to maintain form is going to win it.
Yeah. Brilliant. Excellent. Thank you, Alex.
Thanks, Paul.
Well, Friday.
Cheers, mate. Joe, you all right? Robin, anything?